key changes. Starting with our project management tools. All thanks to Nicholas. I want to single him out and thank him because Nicholas brought up last week or maybe a week before that, saying that it has been hard for him to get onboarded on the project and he wasn't sure where to get started. I'm glad he brought it up and said it that way because it immediately informed me that that needs to be fixed. We were managing our projects using just our own tools and weren't really doing it on GitHub, which is generally idiomatic with open source projects. So we've changed that, especially for easier onboarding. And we use GitHub projects now and also GitHub issues to track issues and obviously pull requests. So under Kubernetes SIGs, I believe a few months ago, container object storage project was created. So I'm just going to open that page. And this Tuesday, we all met, including Nicholas, and we went over how we're going to manage this project using this GitHub tool, GitHub projects tool. So what we've defined is a milestone. We've called it demo 1, as you can see in many of the issues here. And all the issues that are to-dos, they're obviously going to to-do. In progress is when someone has started working on it. In review is when they've made the PR and it's being reviewed and it's done, it's done. For anyone that wants to get onboarded, the easiest direction we can give them is to go to this page and filter by good first issue. And they can get started. If someone who can is there who is interested in writing documentation, they search by that. Okay, how do I remove the filters there? Yeah, and we're going to follow this labeling scheme in order to allow this easy filtering for people to discover what is going on and how much progress has been made. So for that, I can say milestone demo 1. Oh, like that. Not sure what the format is there. An easier way would be to just click on that. Yeah. Oh, I got the right format. Okay. So you can also filter by milestones and see how much progress we've made. The good thing about this structure that we brought up, we did this live on a video call on Tuesday. On Wednesday morning, there was a new contributor, including Nicholas. This person is from Bangalore, India. We haven't talked to them yet, other than through GitHub issues. It was really nice to see that this sort of management is helping, even if it's just one person. It's definitely in the right direction of getting more people on board to the project. And once the project management was clearer, we could also start iterating faster. The division of tasks was clearer, and that also helped us move faster. And compared to the last few weeks, this week alone, these are all PRs from this week alone and the activity from this week alone. So generally, just a PR could be even a one-line change, so it doesn't mean anything. But in open source projects, PRs are generally the bottleneck. Because we're not all of us is doing this as a full-time gig, and sometimes reviews take longer, sometimes responses to reviews take longer. So PRs being the biggest bottleneck are still a good indicator of progress in open source projects. So here is how we've been doing last week, and what we want to get done before 18th, which is the end of next week, is we want to ramp up the documentation a little bit because as it is today, the documentation is outdated. First of all, I've added issues for it. If you specifically look at CSI adapter, Yeah, this documentation can be changed. This is pointing to the old Slack, SIG storage Slack, which is not SIG storage cozy. So these changes need to be undertaken, and hopefully before the end of the year, so that when people come in fresh next year, it's just there ready for them to consume. All right, so going back here. That's one of the goals, and that is easy enough to achieve. We just need to put in a little bit of time for it. This other goal is setting up container repositories. Srini, do you know what the progress is on that so far and what is needed?
PRs for all the repos now.
Your voice started only midway.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there is some lag in my Zoom. So anyways, as far as the pre-submit jobs are concerned, controller has it now, spec and API has it. For the sidecar and CSI adapter, I have submitted a PR, and that's thanks to Xing, she reviewed it, and we just need one more reviewer to merge that. For the
You mean in the spec?
No, for the CSI adapter and the provision.
Okay.
So that's the last PR for the pre-submits.
Okay.
For the spec, there is prow.sh that I changed, but it's work in progress because I'm waiting for some of the code to be checked in so that I'll have a better understanding on how to load up various artifacts to do testing inside the client cluster that prow spins up. So it will, Xing already reviewed it, except few changes that I need to make to it so that it is a little bit more parameterized so that we can test various branches, whatnot.
Now, is it not possible to do the testing locally? Just set up the
Yeah, absolutely. Locally, we can still build the containers. We can push the containers to our. We have created a temporary repo in Quay, and we are using that. I already pushed an image for controllers, so it's a workaround. But for newcomers coming into the project, they need to understand that. Rather than that, it would be nice that if we have everything integrated.
Okay, so that needs to go in the documentation, right? Like this is a temporary repo and all that.
Exactly. Yeah. I was about to say, when you showed that documentation page, it has to explain what that component does and how to build the component and push the component for testing, how to deploy it, because we already have some deployment scripts and whatnot, right, in each of the repos, and that are in progress right now. I mean, they're part of the old repo. They are being moved to the new repo. So once we have that, it is a lot easier to deploy individual components.
So getting the GCR containers itself, what will that take?
Okay. I don't know. I mean, maybe Xing can comment on this. But generally for building and testing, as part of the post submit, we don't need to do anything. It just push to GCR and it will do the work done. Apart from that, I don't know.
Actually, I mean, I think the image part, it's not completely automatic yet, but I think you are not there yet. So I mean, you need to cut a release before we can actually have those images.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
So once you're there, we can go through that. But right now, I think you still have other things that you need to fix first, right?
Okay, so what you are saying is basically if somebody wants to test a specific version of the component, then we need that.
You have to have like a release cut actually. So right now we don't actually have a way to publish like in the past we have those like Canara images, like whatever that is in the master. We don't have that anymore. So it's a little bit, it's a kind of annoying actually. Yeah. So the only thing that will be there will be a formal release. So it has to have like a tag something.
Can we use the Quay repos in the meantime?
We're don't use Quay anymore. No, we all moved out
to GCR.
Yeah, we don't use Quay anymore.
Okay, so maybe we should create a temporary GCR repo then.
Well, that's unless you want to do it yourself, because that's not like we cannot.
Yeah. I mean
Yeah.
ourselves. Yeah.
Then you have to have your, okay, then you mean you have your own
There should
account
be a
or
free
something?
plan, right?
Free. I'm not aware of that, because this is like I think
Well,
this is like all Kubernetes use that, right? So it's
For
not like
GCR, it's not free unless we use the SIG storage owns.
yeah, it's not
Oh.
free. So I don't know.
Key.io is free, but
Sorry, what is free?
Key.io, the one that
Oh,
we
that's
use.
how you say it? Key?
That's the correct pronunciation. A lot of people
Okay.
say Quay.
Yeah.
okay.
The word is key.
Interesting.
But yeah.
But if you do that, then I'm not sure. Then you're what? How are you going to? Because you are in for all set up using this other
Exactly.
image, right?
Yeah,
So
that's my
it's
question.
not actually not that easy for you to just try to change it now. Yeah, I mean, in the past when we're using Quay, we have more flexibility actually.
Mm-hmm.
Xing, is there any problem with using the SIG storage one? Like, do we need to get authorization from people or?
It's not a problem. I think they want to try something, right? I mean, the problem is you only release the image, you can go there. In the past, remember we have the Canara images published in Quay?
Yeah, what do we do with the
We
canary
don't have
images?
that anymore. We can't
They're
have that.
gone?
No, we cannot have
Okay.
that in this.
Well, that explains a lot because I was looking for the canary images and I was like, where did they go?
No, that's the thing. Yeah, yeah. I think they were saying that there is a way to put that in like the staging area, but then I think you have to constantly pulling it, because otherwise you'll be removed.
Yeah. No, I think I
Might
understand.
be trying to do something, but I don't know what's the status of that. So like, you probably have to like to write a script to always try to put that image so that it's there or something. But it's not in place yet, so that's all I can say.
Mm-hmm. Wow, my computer is acting weird. I'm not able to move the mouse. Wow.
So I was gonna say, for just doing personal testing, like it's very easy to get your own repo on key.io.
I mean, but when you are testing whatever that is in the master, then that's just to use whatever it is built from the master, from your PR. For that, you don't really need an image, unless if you're testing some older build, right? So I don't think you guys are there yet. Like we are testing, for example, for other sidecars, we're testing with like 1.17, 1.18, right? You don't have that yet, right? So if you're just testing this with like one repo, you may need to have images from other repos. Do you have
from all the 4 repos we have.
So maybe you need to release something, just quote like 0.1, starting from.
Oh, I see. That's what. Oh, yeah, we can do that.
We can
We can call it 0.1 dash
start with something, right? And then
pre-alpha or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the best way is after the demo one, we could probably cut some release kind of thing.
So basically, like, let's say if you are testing it in the controller repo, then whatever PR in the controller repo, that will be built, right? You build from that repo. So that's like the fresh one, the new one. Everything else will be from image, basically. So that's how you can test it, I think.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. I think that sounds good, especially after the demo. Until then, we'll just use key.io. Sounds good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the last thing is the repository names are super long. It's painful to use them. So I'll show you. And also, it took me a few tries before I started getting it right. It's container object storage interface controller, and then it gets longer. So the sidecar, it's provisioner sidecar. And
He intentionally named it that way at that time, but
at that time, we were still figuring out what the name should be. And it was not a priority for us, so we just went ahead with the most explicit name, the most, meaningful, like giving the full name for it.
if If anyone knows, that's fine. But if not, I can ping some of these folks and see if we can rename the repos. But
Yeah.
that brings us to the naming convention again,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's what I'm bringing up actually. So there's that. The second thing I have is, so if you look at CSI, CNI, container storage interface, container network interface, they're all specific to the container itself. They're an integration with the container. So regardless of who the container provider is, as long as they satisfy OCI, another standard, Open Container Interface, they can integrate with CSI and CNI. Object storage is a little different. We're not really integrating with the container, we're integrating with the orchestrator here. If we are building a standard that works across multiple orchestrators, then it might make sense to call it orchestrator object storage interface or just object storage interface. I really think having the word container, well, not just really think, having the word container does not go along the same lines as CSI or CNI. I think it makes it easier to call it object storage interface, and also repository names can follow this and have the, let's say, OSI as the prefix rather than the full name. So OSI-controller, OSI-sidecar, and so on and so forth. I'm open to opinions, I'm open to ideas. This is a opinion kind of discussion, but one thing is clear. The word container here can even be a little, it's not idiomatic with how the rest of the industry is naming standards, and at the same time, it's not completely accurate.
So OSI overlaps with two other things that I can find quickly: the Open Source Initiative and the Open Systems Interconnection model.
Open Systems Interconnection is OSI. There are
the OSI model, yeah.
Yeah, it's very old. It's from 90s.
But people still learn about it in school, and I mean I don't know. Like I just, if you see OSI, where does your mind immediately go? It goes there.
You're right. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not super passionate about one answer or the other, but yes, I agree.
And I guess if you Google it, right, like you're gonna get the.
I mean, you could say the same about CSI or CNI. There are a lot of abbreviations. I mean, there are a lot of things called CSI before, and Kubernetes, because it's the new CSI, it took over. OSI actually had two different definitions.
Yeah, I mean, that's my primary objection. Is just, you know, it's more ambiguous, and a less ambiguous acronym might be preferable.
Okay. Any other suggestions?
I mean, of course, if you went with Kubernetes object storage interface, you could still call it cozy.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that you could call it cozy. Yeah. No, that was my thought too.
Yeah, I like that idea actually. It's more accurate, descriptive. It addresses Ben's comment.
Yeah,
it's more specific.
Yeah, and we're really building this for Kubernetes, not some open object storage standard, not some open orchestrator storage object standard, right?
And plus one, what Sid just said, we really aren't trying, like CSI at the very beginning wanted it to be Kubernetes agnostic, and we're not trying to do that really.
Well, based on the discussion on Monday, like the top half of the API is obviously Kubernetes specific, but the bottom half
is not.
Has nothing Kubernetes specific.
Right. The gRPC spec is not.
And that's the part that's analogous to CSI, is that bottom part of the stack. So unless we want to abandon all hope of that ever being compatible with things other than Kubernetes, and I don't see why we would do that, that could still be branded agnostically.
Right. Yeah. I mean, part of, like, even though CSI, you know, works across multiple orchestrators, or could, it, you know, even in the early days of CSI, when we were banging it out with Mesos and Docker, it took investments for those orchestration platforms to support CSI. So I don't think it's necessarily a misnomer to call it container object storage interface. It, they, other orchestrators, to the extent that they're still viable, could implement this interface, even though we don't have the requirements to hook into POSIX and file system mounts and things like that. We have less requirement in the container, but other orchestrators could definitely do this.
You're right in that others could hook
feature,
in, but the hooking in point is not at the container level, it's at the orchestrator level. We're hooking in with an orchestrator, not hooking in with a container. That's why we're saying
we had to do the same thing with CSI though.
So the way I think about it is
CSI, the unit that you provision is I'm not against it, just to be clear, but in CSI, the unit that you provision is a file system or a block device, which are specific to a container. I don't need an orchestrator in CSI to start using it.
So the way I'm looking at Cozy is, if we're successful and 2 years down the road, we're out of beta and it's GA, and there's been 3 or 4 different protocols, protocols defined, and 20 odd different drivers are defined, and like there's a healthy ecosystem. One could imagine somebody who maybe has no interest in Kubernetes but just wants a way to consume object storage programmatically, saying, hey, Cozy is just this usable gRPC thing that I can code to and take one of these drivers of which many exist and just get a object storage orchestration sort of API that is cross-platform. I see that as a very real possibility.
I don't see that actually. Sorry, think about it this way. Without an orchestrator, nobody is going to deploy that. Nobody is going to use. I mean, the benefit of this is because of the orchestration, not just the interface. Because every API already. Why would I implement a gRPC API if I can just use a REST API to provision buckets and such?
Because
the
of the commonality.
If you write your application to sit on top of the Cozy gRPC, then you can swap in any object storage provider and it just works. And so it becomes this common way to sort of ask for buckets, to receive buckets, to ask for access to buckets, to get the protocol information. All the gRPC is responsible for all of that level of stuff. And people outside of Kubernetes could in principle be interested in that, even if they're not container orchestrators. They could
still just an API. It's not a container specific API.
Right.
It'll become a de facto standard with many implementations of it, and that by itself has value.
It's an API standard, agreed. There's no doubt there. Is it a container specific thing though? Like with files and blocks, you provision it into a container. Here, that's not the case. That's where I'm coming from.
So you're saying yes, it has value, but no, we shouldn't stick the label container on it. Is that what you're saying? Okay,
yes.
well, I totally buy that, but like.
I'm with you on the value. This is like that's hopefully that's what we want.
And it's independent. That part is independent of Kubernetes, so it's just an object storage interface. So I guess
where I was coming from.
If you wanted to call it OSI at that layer for that reason, and just deal with the fact that if you have an acronym collision, which yes, acronym collisions happen all the time, so who cares? I buy that. I gotta apologize that I have a conflict now and I gotta drop, but
oh no, okay, but thanks for your input, Ben.
Yeah, no problem.
What if you take OSI and you put a P in between for provisioning or something along those lines?
So another point of having an acronym is that it's easy to say and easy for people to communicate with. I think adding more words sometimes does us like it doesn't help us exactly how we want it to. In order to proliferate this, keeping it OSI is good enough. Is good, especially given that the other OSI is an old standard and it's unlikely to come up in the same context. And the other reason is even if you came up with OSPI or POSI or something like that, you still run the risk of collision with acronyms. think that's like a micro optimization that may or may not help. I don't know if it's worth.
I don't know. Like, to me, the OSI acronym holds a lot of weight. Maybe that's just because I've been around for this long, but like, I think everyone learns like OSI standard is like one of the first thing that everybody learns.
Oh yeah.
So I think that acronym in particular is difficult. Like, I think the conflict isn't, a trivial concern is what I'm saying. And there's a big difference between, say, conflicting with OSI and conflicting with, some other acronym that's in one corner of the internet. OSI is like, even though it's old, it's relevant.
I mean, so here's the other thing. So there was something called cloud storage interface, and then there was another thing. CSI came up at the same time, and it's called or Cloud Storage Initiative, CSI, and then we came up with Container Storage Initiative or interface. It's not trivial, agreed, but also the only place where we learn and use OSI is in university setting. I have not used OSI after that ever, and I've been all layer of the system stack from the kernel all the way to cloud provider stuff, and OSI is actually, while it's learned in school, it is also mostly forgotten in school. I shouldn't even be saying that, but yeah, I feel weird saying that, but it seems like it to me. Thoughts? I could be totally wrong about that. Just going off of what I've seen in the industry, what I'm noticing, and what seems to be happening all around us.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm open to hearing more opinions, but but my view is I would rather not have OSI be the acronym, just because it's conflicting with something that's so well known. And and I think that, like, conflicting with any acronym, that that isn't my goal either. It's just not to conflict with, like, I wouldn't choose TCP either. TCP is the same age, almost the same exact age as OSI. Of course, TCP is actually in use.
Yeah, it is actually in use. Yeah.
But it's even though it's not the same concern, I wouldn't choose TCP either. I guess
so
is what I'm
OSI is more, the thing about OSI is it's not an interface. It's not used in the same context. OSI comes from the point of view of, like, it's a we just say OSI layers. That's the one part of OSI that I remember, and I'm sure most of us only remember that part.
Actually, IPv6 or IPv6 is actually the addressing scheme from OSI, by the way. But at the time that they were choosing TCP, they decided that the addressing scheme in OSI was too complex, and now we've adopted it with IPv6. But
no, but
yeah,
but it's not called OSI naming IP, format, right? It's again, we're strictly talking about name. I think it can actually do us a favor because of how well known and appreciated OSI is. If we start going by OSI, people would associate us with the same amount of, at least initially, before they find out for real what it's like. The initial gut reaction is going to be a positive one, which is what we want.
I know this is not a big factor in choosing an acronym, but I like that COSI rolls off the tongue easily. It's easy to say OC or.
Yeah, OC is also.
It's sort of nice to be able to just say the acronym, pronounce it rather than each individual letter.
Right. Yeah. I want to go with object storage interface, but again, it's a decision that we all make together. During any discussion, either right now or maybe until the end of the next week, I'll bring it up again so people have a chance to. I don't think everyone's on the call today that generally join, so I'll bring it up again the next 2 meetings, and we'll see if others also like this name. I think for the sake of Cozy, for the best outcome of the effort that we're taking up, which we've been doing for a long time now, 18 months, something like OSI would really help, would really make us, put us out there, help us be seen and noticed by others. People are going to wonder, what is this OSI coming from this Kubernetes group? It's definitely going to turn heads, and if we do a good job of implementing, and so far we've been doing a good job, and the product is decently robust, then it's going to pick up. So I think we should keep this as probably our front runner for now, and we should continue the discussion again, because I don't think such a decision can be made in one meeting in 1 hour. And not everyone will get a chance to pitch in if you just do it in one meeting. They might not be here even. So does that sound good to everyone?
Yep, I think that's fair.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay, so the next thing is, regardless of what we end up with, either OSI or KOSI or something, we need shorter repo names. The repository names, typing them out, looking at them, doing imports and Go, it adds up slowly. The amount of effort, it definitely makes there's a huge difference between using repos with such long names versus, using something like CSI provisioner. And CSI is just called CSI-provisioner. I think we should start using whatever acronym we come up with and change the repo names to that dash suffix. I don't think I don't think there'll be too much objection to this. I would like to hear if there are any. Okay. Okay, I'm glad. So whenever we decide the acronym, let us go ahead and Shing, do you know how we can change the repo names, like what it'll take? Or I think Srini said.
Probably will need to submit a request again, like when you created those repo, you submitted a
Request.
issue, right? We cannot change it. We have to ask whoever
the
community take care of this. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So that'll help a lot. Okay. So that's all I had on the agenda for today. Everyone here, we encourage you to start contributing to the project. We've freshly created the project board, and hopefully that will help people get started with this pretty quickly. And also, if you can't write code right away, we also appreciate reviews on pull requests. So in order to do that, just go to all of the individual projects and just start watching them. And every pull request, you'll be notified, and you can start reviewing. I can tell you right now, the goal is to get. So we've been writing code outside of the Kubernetes SIG org because the repositories weren't ready until the KEP was merged. So we have a code that is being written and that is ahead of what's there in the repositories right now. So in the short term, we want to move all of that code to the official repos. And in that process, and more people reviewing is good because we want to get the reviews done quicker. So I'm saying this upfront, so that we don't end up in the too many cooks spoil the broth type of situation. if someone has started reviewing it, try to review the next PR, and any chance, if you have an opportunity to review quickly or respond to comments quickly from whoever is developing code, that is better than waiting a few days before responding. Simply because until we bring the current repo up to par with what code is outside, we just want to move things fast, because once that is there, we'll have something that everyone can test out and run and play with. And if you notice any issues or bugs, please raise issues on GitHub itself. Others can take it up, we can take it up, and it'll also serve as a record of things that need to be done. That's it from me today. Does anyone have any questions?
I think you said it right. I mean, velocity is important right now to move the code into the official repo. So we're trying to do as much reviews as possible. Others can chip in, that would be great. But this is, again, the code is lined up. So we want to quickly merge some of the important pieces of code so that we can move functionality and test it and iterate it over a period of time. So
yeah, once it is in a testable way, while integrated, that's when people can really start trying it out. Having more meaningful bugs raised or issues requested will happen when people start trying it out. And and also if we get to that point where you can run the whole system as one, that'll give people something to play with, and higher likelihood that they'll come and contribute or join us in the meetings and such. Because right now, because that's not there, it looks like a toy project. And given that the README is also not in place, it looks like a stealth toy project. So we'll fix that as soon as possible.
Do we still have the old repo around? Like, which repo is it?
Yeah.
The old repo?
Yeah. So that is under the GitHub organization called Container Object Storage Interface. So we found that this was available, so we started writing code here. I'm going to paste it in the chat above.
So you may want to archive these.
Yeah, we'll archive this. There is still a little bit of code that needs to be moved, but once that is done, yeah. All right. So that's it from me. We have about 15 minutes left. If there's anything anyone wants to talk about, we can do it. If not, we can continue on Monday. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.